people. Welcome to Jaby We Met. I am your host, Jaby Kuwait. This is episode 6.5. Episode 6 was about 35 minutes long, and so I thought I'd give you guys another half episode. Also, I didn't feel like waiting 9 days to record another Jaby We Met episode, so here we are back again right away. Let's jump into this. A few days ago, I watched a movie called Hell or High Water. If you guys have never heard of it, don't worry, neither have I, up until recently. And so it was a recommendation given to me by Courtney Wright. She said it was her favorite film from 2016. That didn't mean much to me, as I didn't know what her favorite films were from previous years, but it still sounded like she really, really liked it, and therefore I might like it at least a little bit. So I wanted to watch it. But it wasn't convenient to watch it because it was nowhere to be found. It was not on Netflix, it wasn't at the local Redbox rental thing at the grocery store down the street from me, and it wasn't on Hulu or on Amazon Prime. But recently it showed up on Amazon for $10. I was still on the fence because last time Syntel and Chuck told me that The Wire was the greatest TV show of all time, and I went and I spent like $60 on the Blu-ray box set, and I still haven't gotten through episode 5 of season 1. I got burned on that, and I told Courtney this, and she says, you know what? Buy the movie. If you don't like it, I'll buy it off of you. And I said, you know what? I'll take that Pepsi challenge. So I bought it, I unwrapped it, I popped it in my Blu-ray player, and I watched it. And I ended up loving it. It was a really, really good movie, especially the third act. Man, I was on the edge of my seat, heart pounding with excitement as I watched the third act of that movie. It was really good. So Courtney does not need to buy it off of me. I'm going to keep it. I'm a proud owner of the movie Hell or High Water, and I recommend you guys watch it too with subtitles because even I needed subtitles. That movie has some thick accents, thick texts and accents in that film. I was having a hard time. It was almost like another language entirely. So yeah, watch that film, check it out, let me know what you guys think. What else did I watch? I watched Star Wars Episode 8 twice in less than 12 hours. I always watch Star Wars twice. Every time a Star Wars movie comes out, I have to watch it the evening it comes out and the next morning, just because I want to get as much of it as I can. And usually I don't end up buying the movie on DVD or Blu-ray. I watch it twice in theaters and I've got my fill. Episode 8 might be an exception. I might buy that on Blu-ray. The reason I'm bringing up Episode 8 is because there is a little bit of philosophy that I want to share with you guys from that film. Philosophy is something that's been part of Star Wars, just the entire saga. For some reason, it wasn't part of Force Awakens, but most of the other Star Wars films have a lot of philosophy embedded in it, and that's because a huge influence for Star Wars was Joseph Campbell. If you don't know who Joseph Campbell is, he's a philosopher guy who studied like cultures and religions and mythologies from all around the world and tried to connect them all. He wrote a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, which I recommend if you guys are interested in philosophy and mythology and all that stuff. So, philosophy. There was one little bit of philosophy in episode 8, and that is the notion of failure and how we perceive failure. If you close your eyes and think about that word failure, what is the first feeling you have? What is the first thought you have? What is your knee-jerk reaction? What is your immediate gut response to the word failure? Is it negative? Do you have a negative association with that word? Does it strike like yucky feelings in your body? It does for most of us, right? Well, failure isn't something that should have that feeling for us. It should be something we embrace, and we embrace, dare I say, happily. And the reason why is because failure is our greatest teacher. If you think about all the things that have taught you in life, all the things that have made the biggest impression on you growing up, I guarantee most of those things are your failures because your failures shaped you into who you are so that you don't make those same mistakes again. Failure has a negative connotation to it, a negative association because of school, because of parents, because of work. They all teach us that failure is bad, and failure is a means for getting suspended, for getting fired, for getting kicked out of school, for losing face. It shouldn't have this effect. We should all learn how to embrace our failures and help each other with each other's failures rather than shunning it. Rather than shunning people for failing, we should help them. Why am I saying all this? Like I said earlier, it's our greatest teacher. For a lot of us, when we have a failure in our life, it makes us afraid to ever walk that path again, to ever venture near that idea again. For me, I had a failure when I was 15 or 16 years old, where I was doing gymnastics. I was doing what's called a butterfly kick, where you launch your body into the air, chest facing down, and you kick your legs up over your head. It sounds more complicated than it looks. Anyway, I was trying to kick over a box, over a gymnastics box to get my legs higher and higher. My feet connected with the box and I face planted into the floor and I hurt my neck really badly. That same evening, I didn't want to end on a failure, so I tried doing a backflip off of a similar box, and my friend who was holding it wasn't holding it steady. The box rocked as I flipped, and I ended up face planting into that box. So my neck got hurt twice that evening, and it ended up scaring me from doing gymnastics for close to 8 months. I was just not practicing whatsoever anything because I was too scared. I would go there and hang out with friends, but I was too scared to try anything. But then eventually, I built up the courage again, I built up the confidence again, and I went for the tricks again, and I ended up actually getting better at the tricks. Obviously, I had some apprehension to doing tricks again, so I was very, very careful with it, but you have to go into gymnastics, into tricks, with a certain degree of confidence, or you will surely get hurt. So I went back to it, despite my fear, and I pushed myself. I ended up becoming better at those tricks than I was before I made that mistake and hurt myself. That's a small example of how, you can't let failure beat you, but let it teach you. The new generation of parents need to learn how to teach their kids that failure is okay as long as you learn from it. Failure is an option as long as you're learning from it and improving on it. When someone is just a fuck up, when someone's just a failure and because they're not trying to learn, because they're just being an asshole, that's a different thing entirely. Someone who's trying, failing, and trying again is a completely different person, and that's who you want to be, is the person who keeps on trying, who keeps on going for it anyway. The most successful people in the world, pick any one of them out, I guarantee you they have more failures than successes, and the reason why they are a success is because they're willing to fail. If you are unwilling to fail, you will never be a success. So I think I've done my preaching enough on that. So the main point of it is, be okay with failure. Learn how to embrace it. Learn how to learn from failure. Don't let it beat you down. Don't let it scare you out of moving forward. Learn to embrace it. Learn to take it as you are in the process of becoming the best version of yourself possible. Failure is all right so long as you are learning from it. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about today is what I'm calling the Seabiscuit effect. If you've never heard of Seabiscuit, it's a film about a racehorse who needed competition alongside him in order to move faster. Without that, Seabiscuit would move slower. It was a weird thing, but it makes a lot of sense because often we're driven by competition. The reason I'm talking about this is because it's linked to an idea, a much simpler idea, which is jealousy. There's two kinds of jealousy, in my opinion. There is the jealousy where you harbor ill feelings towards someone because you want what they have, because you don't have it. And then there's the kind of jealousy that drives you. The competitive jealousy that makes you want to be better. It's the kind of jealousy where you know you can attain the same thing or do the same thing, if not better. That kind of jealousy, I actually encourage. I condone that behavior. Not the jealousy where you're just harboring ill feelings because someone has something you don't. I think that's bullshit. That's a disgusting feeling to have, and you should let go of it if you ever have it. The other one, I think, actually makes sense because it drives you to be a better person. Jealousy in career where you want to be better, you want to be just as good or better than someone else, makes sense. Obviously, that's not the best driving factor. Obviously, you want to be just the best version of yourself possible, but I think sometimes it's okay. I mean, I deal with it too sometimes. Sometimes I still have to check myself and go, you know what? They have their path, I have my own path, and that's okay. I'm on this path over here. When I was a lot younger, I had this insane jealousy towards someone I trained with in gymnastics who was incredibly talented. I was jealous of the fact that he got to go to the martial arts schools where they taught you how to flip and do all the cool tricks. I didn't have that. His mom was always there to support him every time he was training, everywhere he went. I didn't have that. My parents were never there when I was training in gymnastics, but I was really jealous back then. I wanted what he had. And I remember I was working at a cubicle in Yahoo, and I was watching a video of him online, this montage of all these cool tricks, and it was killing me. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I not doing what he's doing? And that jealousy, he doesn't know this, but that jealousy inspired me to get my ass to a gymnastics place and start forcing myself to learn cool tricks. Right after I made that decision, I was at the gymnastics place as often as I could be, and I was learning crazy tricks because I was pushing myself. I wanted to be as good as this dude. I didn't ever measure up to his skill in terms of gymnastics and martial arts, but I actually got really, really far as it goes for me. Like, I was learning all kinds of stuff I didn't know my body was capable of. And so that jealousy ended up working in my favor, where it drove me to be a better version of myself. It inspired me. That is what I would call the Seabiscuit effect, where you have that thing that makes you want to be a better version of yourself. And all I'm trying to say is, sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to see some other asshole who's better than you or has more than you in order for you to have that inspiration and drive to have more, to do better, to be a better version of yourself. I mean, hell, I had that with my ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend. This was years ago. But after I broke up with her, I saw just how happy she was with her new boyfriend, and I saw how he treated her, and I was like, oh my God, you know what? Like, that's what I've been missing. I want to be that guy again, because I had a fucked up relationship in high school. I was this guy who was super, super, super like focused and dedicated and super faithful and couldn't ever look at another girl. And I was very, very nice. But that girl didn't really want to be in that relationship with me. And I kept trying to make it work. And she wasn't letting me go, even though she didn't really want to be with me. And that inevitably turned me into an asshole boyfriend. And somehow, after I broke up with her, I got 2 other girlfriends still maintaining this asshole persona. And I realized after breaking up with my 3rd girlfriend that I didn't want to be that guy anymore, especially after I saw how she was with her new boyfriend. I was like, I want to be this other guy. I want to be like a really, really good guy to my girlfriends. I want to be like the best boyfriend possible. And so there was a little bit of jealousy in there that inspired me to be a better version of myself. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just saying sometimes it's okay as long as you're using it in a positive way. There's different kinds of jealousy. There's jealousy of friends. There's jealousy in relationships. I wanted to touch on those 2 things real quick. Like, sometimes we have jealousy of our friend who's got everything, who's got money, who's rich and whatever, and like, it's not fair. That's the phrase that comes up, is it's not fair. Why did they get all of that and I don't have what they have? And I think that that's something that is not cool to do to yourself. That's something that is very unhealthy to do to yourself. There's nothing you can do about the fact that you have your path and they have theirs. You were born into the family you have, they were born into the family they've got. And there's nothing you could have done about that it was outside of your control. What is in your control is what you do now, how you take steps going forward. You can't do anything about the parents you had, the upbringing you had, but you can do something about your life now. Maybe you won't ever be as rich as your friend who was born into a wealthy family. Maybe you will be. Who knows? All depends on the path you take in life. All depends on the moves you make in life. But the fact of the matter is, you can't do anything about what came before you, but you can do something about what happens now. Last kind of jealousy I wanted to talk about and touch on is jealousy in relationships. Not too long ago, I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in India, and she was telling me that her boyfriend is the controlling type, that he's very, very jealous. Half or more of my viewers, of my listeners, are male. And what I want to say to you guys is this. If you are the jealous type, you need to put that in check. You really need to work on that, because it will not serve you well. It will never do you good. It will never help you be a better version of yourself. It's only going to make you worse. It's going to make your girlfriend worse. It's going to make your relationship worse. It's just an unhealthy situation to be in. For me personally, like, I've had to come to terms with the idea that if my girlfriend wanted to do something shady, she's going to do it whether I say so or not. Whether I say, please don't do that, or whatever, she's going to do whatever she feels like, because she's her own person. She's an individual with her own thoughts and feelings, and that's outside of my realm of control. And that's okay. Just like I'm outside of her realm of control. She can't tell me what to do, unless I'm into that. So what I'm trying to get at is, try to understand the positive and negative aspects of jealousy, and use the positive aspects to your advantage, and try to disconnect yourself from the negative aspects of jealousy if you have that in you, if you have that in your system. And be honest with yourself. That's the hardest part. I think that one of the hardest things to do in life is to be absolutely honest with yourself about your flaws. Learn to be truthful with yourself about what your flaws are and just deal with it. If you're a little bit jealous, admit it. And admit to yourself whether or not you want to continue to be jealous. And from there, you can take steps to grow out of that. Let's move on to comments and letters, shall we? This comes from Preeti N. I feel like you are such a balanced person. You are very practical, which some people may think is selfish, and yet you are so considerate of others' feelings. Keep up the good work. So, I want to talk specifically about this word balanced. Most of us are unbalanced, including myself. What you see is an edited version of myself. I'm giving you guys a very specific version of myself. You're not with me 24/7. You don't see the mistakes I make, or when I get upset and yell and freak out about something stupid I did. Like, you don't see all that. I think that we should all strive to be the most balanced version of ourselves possible. We should all try to be the most balanced version of ourselves possible. I think I'm a lot closer to being balanced today than I was 10 years ago, but I still see it like a carrot on the stick. There's always more to do. There's always further to go in order to be a better and better person. Perfect balance, I guess, is the thing that we all strive for or should strive for. And I'm not there yet, and I don't think I'll ever get there, and that's okay. We're never going to be perfect, but I appreciate your positive, compliment of me being balanced. Next comes from Mayuri K. I disagree, Jaby. Your stress is what has gotten you here. It's your process to success. Schedule relaxation time and learn coping mechanisms, but saying, so what, will reduce the quality of your work. I disagree with that. Now, when I say so what, I don't mean to just everything and anything. I don't mean I'm just, not giving a shit about anything I do. What I mean is specifically the idea of I do my best and then I stress out over it not being the best, over people having a problem with it. To that, I think we all need to learn how to say, so what? Sometimes you can only do so much. Being a perfectionist is a very unhealthy thing. And that's where I'm trying to learn how to say, so what, to certain things, to certain aspects of what I do. Like, I put in a considerable amount of effort to making my videos as good as possible. After that, I have to learn how to say, so what? Whatever people want to feel about it is how people want to feel about it, so what? Doesn't matter anymore. It's out there. I did my best. Moving on. That's what I mean by it. I'm not talking about not giving a shit about the quality of my work. I'm talking about just in general, people's response to me, people's response to things. Like, obviously, I don't want to be an asshole. I want to learn and be a better person day by day, but some people are just dicks. Some people just are always going to have a problem with you, and you have to learn how to say, so what? This comes from Aditi Sharma. Jaby, you've experienced something like this, that you love someone dearly, but just not being able to respect them. Take my case. I love my dad, but sometimes he makes such appalling comments, I just can't take it, man. For example, last week I was watching a video on Lizzie Velasquez's YouTube channel, and Dad saw Lizzie in the video and said her parents should have killed her when she was born. There was zero empathy for the girl, just pure disgust on his face. I didn't know what to say after this. It kind of broke me. I was like, this guy is my father? Really? I think it's safe to say that most of us come from parents who are more traditional than we are, who are more old school than we are. And the reason why is they are older. So naturally, they are going to come from an older school of thought than we do. I came from that as well. My dad had a very particular way of being, and I don't want to speak of him in a very disparaging way, in a very negative way, but there are things that he would do that I would strongly disagree with, that I found to be appalling, and he would do it without regard to what people around him thought of it. And that would really upset me sometimes. That would really piss me off. There were some things that he and I just never saw eye to eye on, and that was just something I had to learn how to accept. Like, your parents are pretty much who they are, and there's nothing you can do about it. Ultimately, they're going to be who they want to be. After 30 years old, it's really hard to change. It's really hard for someone's personality to shift, to improve. They are pretty much who they are. I mean, that's not to say that we don't improve our whole lives, that we don't learn, but there are certain aspects of our personality, certain habits that become solidified, like concrete and marble, and it's very hard to break it without breaking us entirely, like breaking us at our foundation and rebuilding without years of therapy. Like, it's really, really hard to break some of those habits, and all of that stuff is inherited. So the best thing you can do at that point is tell yourself, I am not going to do that. I am not going to be that person. I am not going to carry that habit with me. So at a certain age, when my parents were raising me, I realized that there were certain things that I wanted to do for my kids that my parents weren't doing for me. So I took that and I applied it to Chloe when she was in my life for those 4 years. And I actually found that it had a profoundly positive effect on her behavior, the way she did things. She was like the best student in her class because I was taking the approach that I didn't get to have from my parents. All that to say, what you gotta do is learn from it. You can't change your parents. You can express, I don't like that you do this, Dad. I disagree with your nature here or your behavior here or your philosophy here, Dad. Most likely that's not gonna get you anywhere. And most likely it'll just get you a slap across the face. But you can try it and see what happens and see if he's open to having a dialogue and you expressing why it makes you uncomfortable and makes you unhappy and why you find it wrong or appalling. Most likely won't get you anywhere. The best thing you can do is learn from it and say, I am not going to do that. I'm going to have this approach in life and not take my dad's approach. This comes from Rashi Mudholkar. Sometimes parents enforce their dreams for you so much on you that it leaves no space for your own dreams. It feels like working towards what you want is pointless because there's not enough time to work on it. It's so frustrating that it feels like the best place for my own dreams is the dustbin. Obviously, I disagree with this. Obviously, I don't feel like the best place for your dreams is the dustbin. If you live in a household with a family that is making it so hard for you to do what you want to do, you need to persevere. You have to stay strong. You have to find the time and lose a little bit of sleep to continue doing the thing you want to do, irrespective of what they're saying, if it's something you truly want. If your parents can essentially verbally beat it out of you, then you didn't really want it. If someone can stop you from doing it, then you didn't really want it. So you need to persevere and stay strong and continue in your pursuit to achieving that dream, irrespective of what anyone says to you. Syed Ismail, thank you, Jaby, for the podcast. Can you advise me on how to keep myself engaged in whatever I do? Because most of the time, I feel bored about anything at all. I am now 21 and I really don't know about what I want to do. Syed, I am not a doctor or a therapist, but it sounds like you might have ADD or ADHD if you have a hard time focusing. I had a hard time focusing when I was in school. I was a C student. I had a really, really hard time focusing on what the teacher was saying. What I found was there were certain activities that I was really good at staying focused in, namely martial arts, video games, gymnastics. Things that I loved, I was able to maintain focus on. You just have to keep experimenting and exploring until you stumble across that thing that holds your focus. Something will hold your focus. Something will keep you engaged, but you have to look for it. If you don't look for it, you're never going to find it. So just keep looking and hopefully you will find it sooner than later. You just have to explore. One of my biggest recommendations for anyone who doesn't know what they want to do with their life is to go to a community college. I don't know if India has community colleges, but if they do, I would recommend enrolling in it. Why? Because community colleges are generally cheaper. You can take a vast swath of classes without having to stay committed to anything in particular. So you can learn about a lot of different things and figure out what path you want to take. You said you're 21 years old, so I don't know where you are in life, in school. 21 over here means you graduated from college, most likely. You're now eligible to drink. You have to keep exploring. That's the best thing I can say to you is keep exploring. Anything you thought you might want to do with your life, go experiment with that thing and see how it turns out. Write down your results. Have a journal. Say, look, I've tried doing this. Seems like I'm doing pretty good over here. Seems like this is working for me here. Seems like I was able to stay engaged with this. Try that out and see how that works out. Keep a journal of your experiences, of your journey. Keep track of it so you know how you're doing, so you can measure your progress. Ishan Anavkar, hey Jaby, I've written a review of you on my blog. I'd really appreciate it if you take a look and reviewed my review. I read it, and I just want to say thank you very much for your kind words. I really, really appreciate it. I cannot go into the whole thing about what you said because it was quite lengthy, but I just want to say I appreciate what you wrote. Thank you. Nona Prince, how can we balance between living in the present and planning for the future? Is live today to the fullest really a solution? Why does it feel like I know what to do and the next moment I am blank and I am nothing in this big universe or this big mess of Earth revolving around that big star? I would say that this is actually a common feeling. A lot of us feel this way, where we know exactly what we want and then the next moment it's just like empty. And honestly, what you're dealing with is depression. Depression's a very real thing. We all go through it. Like I said in the previous episode 6, we all deal with depression. There's no one right answer for that. The best thing I can say is go work out, go to the gym, pick a hobby that you love doing and do that regularly every single day. Ideally, your hobby is something you can make money off of. When I was really depressed, I started doing more YouTube videos. When I went through my last breakup, I decided I needed something to focus on, and I focused on making reaction videos and doing it every single day. And that took my mind off things. That kept my focus somewhere, and that gave me a trajectory. I wanted to get to 100,000 subscribers. That was my trajectory. I just kept my nose to the grindstone doing that every single day. That's my recommendation to you, is to work out or find a hobby or both. Both, I think, is considerably better. Also, like I said in the last episode, morning pages, or not the last episode, but the episode before, morning pages. Definitely start doing morning pages, because if you didn't listen to that episode, the process of morning pages is this. The moment you wake up, open up your journal and start writing for 10 minutes straight or 3 pages straight. And do this every single day, every morning, before you do anything else as soon as you wake up. And eventually, you'll find that you're dumping things. It's going to clear your head and give you more focus. Now, when you're doing this, you're going to find that sometimes it's hard, but you want to keep writing no matter what. The pen cannot stop moving. The pen cannot stop moving for 10 minutes or 3 pages straight. Even if you're saying, I'm just doing this because this asshole Jaby Kuwait told me to write, so I'm writing right now. I don't even know what to talk about. Even if you're writing that for 10 minutes straight or 3 pages straight, just keep writing every single day, and I guarantee you, you will find improvement. So those are all the comments that I selected. Let's do the emails. So some of these emails are quite long, so I'm probably just going to give you like the short version of it right now. So this comes from Abhishek. He's got this whole email and a bunch of questions. I'm just going to read his questions and try to answer them one by one. How are you able to do all these consistently for like 2 years, as long as I've been seeing you, without any break? When you do something that you love, it's a lot easier to do it every day. There's an old Chinese proverb, if you pick a job you love, you never work a day in your life. For me, I'm just constantly focused on the long-term goal, on the greater goals, and that keeps me motivated. That keeps me moving. And so that allows me to stay focused every single day. I try my best to kind of cut out all the fat, to cut out all the things that don't matter. Because often for creative people, they want to do a whole bunch of stuff. And Tyler Perry says, you got to pick one thing and focus on that one thing, maybe one other thing, and that's it. But make those 1 or 2 things work. And so that's what I'm doing. For these past 2 years, I've just been focused on these 1 or 2 things. How do you manage your social life and get time after working all day in front of computers? You know, my answer used to be, when people ask me how do I manage to do so many videos, my answer used to be is easy. You don't have a social life. Often when you're working really hard at something you love, you don't have a social life. You don't have time for anything else. You are working day and night or after work, and that's just part of being passionate about what you want to do in life. Eventually, you learn how to balance it better. Eventually, you find ways to reintegrate your social life. But you look at someone like Elon Musk, I guarantee you that dude does not have a social life. He is always working. James Cameron, he is always working. There are certain people who are just always working. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, that dude is always working. Some people are just constantly on it, constantly doing business. And that's just how they thrive. That's what drives them. That's what makes them happy, is constantly doing that thing. You have to decide how important your social life is to you. Is it more important than your art? How do you manage your health? The same thing. I mean, for me personally, I do bulk shopping. I go to a place called Costco and I buy everything in bulk so I don't have to go out as much to shop, and I buy the things I need to maintain my health. And I go to the gym as often as I can. I know a person is able to do all these things when he has strong goals or has seen failures, but even after all this, at one point of time, a person breaks or gets fed up of working in front of systems. So he takes a break or quits his job, like I did several times. But how are you able to keep up your work in YouTube for so long? What keeps you going? Keeping my eye on the goal. Keeping my eye on the target, on the long-term goals, on each goalpost. Like, I have a lot of goals I'm trying to hit along the way in life, and I keep my eye on the next goal. Also, you guys keep me going. Having my audience, this Kuwait family, keeps me going. Also, I have a good support group around me. All of my best friends are very positive, open-minded people that can listen to me bitch. I can listen to them bitch. We give each other feedback. I think that it's important to have like a few strong people in your life that you surround yourself with that are patient with you and understand what you're trying to do, and support you. Lastly, when you do so much work and when you get hatred in the comments, it's obvious it hurts you. So how do you never lose your temper? What gives you so much positivity in life? Well, honestly, I've tried to not read the comments as much. Also, I learned how to laugh at it. I learned how to play with it. I learned how to troll back. I learned how to just let it roll off my back. You develop a thicker skin to it over time. You learn that sometimes people are saying things to you just because they're angry with themselves and they hate their own lives, or they're jealous, and they can't stand that this girl rejected them, and they're jealous that they see a girl next to me all the time, even though I'm not dating all these women. People just get jealous of certain things, and they take their frustration out on you, even though you have nothing to do with their inadequacies that they're facing in their daily lives. Some people just want to be pissed off at you for some reason. The people want a target for their anger. No matter what you do in life, You're going to have people who are telling you no. You're going to have people who are telling you you're not good enough. You're going to have people telling you you suck, you're fucked up, you're dumb, you're not going to make it. Why are you even trying? And you have to learn how to stand against that. You have to learn how to keep going despite that, because those people don't know you. They don't know your vision. They don't see what you see. They don't know what you know or what you can see in your own future. So fuck those people. You will always come across people who are negative. There is absolutely nothing you can do about that. It's impossible to avoid. So you have to learn how to accept the fact that you're going to have negative people coming your way in life, and you just push them out of the way and keep going. Awkward, anxious Jennifer. So this is a long email. I am going to see what I can... Jennifer, I'm going to read your email and send you a private message back because this is really, really long. I appreciate you writing me such a lengthy email, but I can't pick within 10 seconds a piece of this to share with my audience, so I apologize for that. This comes from Rohan. My question is simple. What is it that unites USA? God, I don't even know if we can say that we're united right now. It feels like we're a pretty divided nation given everything going on, the political landscape. Not everybody likes Trump. In fact, more than half the country despises Trump. That's a weird question to ask at a time like this. I think we've kind of always been a divided nation. The Civil War is a great example of that, when we were fighting against the right to own slaves. We've had the movement for civil rights for black people, for minorities. We've had the movement for women's rights, for women's right to vote. And there's always a divide in the country about how people feel about these things. So I don't know if we're necessarily united. I think we're all just kind of stuck with each other, and we just keep moving forward and dealing with it that way. Unfortunately, the only thing I think that unites us is when a terrorist attack happens. We stand together to support each other and stay strong. Sometimes it takes an external force for us to realize that we need each other, and that's the sad truth. I would imagine that, India was... I'm making a huge assumption here, but I'm imagining that India was very, very united after the attacks of 26/11. You probably haven't seen India more united than right after the attacks of 26/11, or right after they win a cricket game against Pakistan. There are certain things that just unite us for some reason. An outside enemy, an outside force of some kind will bring us together. I don't know why that is. I don't know why we're that way, but that just seems to be how people are. We're very tribal and odd. So this comes from Sachu. Hi, Jaby. My name is Sachu. I just love your channel, and you set new standards for reactions and provide good and detailed information to your viewers. I'm a huge movie fanatic. I just love movies. I am planning on moving to Canada and then to States. I watch most of the movies from Bollywood, Hollywood, and other Indian languages, and some Korean movies too. I think I'm a bit creative. I have so many ideas and threads in my mind for many stories. I dream of directing one day, but the chance of me making it is very slim. So do you think I should try and pursue this one dream, or should I have a plan B in case I don't make it? You have a vast knowledge in this field, so please help me in deciding. Sachu, I don't know you. Only you know you. Only you know how passionate you are. If directing is a burning passion for you, then you need to do that no matter what. Even if you're struggling, you need to do that thing because it's something you love, and you'd rather be doing the thing you love and struggling than having a job you hate and doing well. It's all perspective. You have to weigh the pros and cons of just life in general. Are you willing to be someone who's struggling because of this dream that you have, because of this passion that you love, or do you want to be someone who's playing it safe, has a regular job, knows exactly where your paycheck is coming from, but your job is kind of mediocre? It's up to you. And also, if you stick to pursuing your dream, sometimes you find another career within that path that you were not expecting that is paying your bills and makes you happy because it's still within the realm of what you kind of want to do. That's how I would look at it. If you're asking me what I did, I pursued my dreams. I took the harder path. It wasn't easy, and sometimes it's still a challenge. But it's the path I chose, and I wouldn't want to take any other path. Sounds like you're a young guy. Do as much as you can on the path you want to be on. And don't let all this other shit in life influence you otherwise. If you want to be a director, go be a fucking director. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I'm not one to advise you. I don't know you. I don't know your path. I don't know what your skill set is. But if it's your dream, and no one can take that away from you except for you. All of you guys who left comments or emails that I did not read in this episode, I apologize. There's only so much time I have with each episode. I encourage you to continue leaving comments and writing emails anyway, because at some point I may include your email or comment in the next video. You guys, be awesome, kick ass today. Fuck what Bob says. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You are so fucking cool. You are a badass. Go do badass things. Go kick ass. Go do the thing you want to do today. Be amazing. Be the best version of yourself possible. I love you. I'm Jaby Kuwait. Peace out.